I'm speaking from experience here. You will find it very difficult to stay Catholic if you are constantly surrounded by those types of people. Don't run from the church in moments like that. We should be running towards the church, towards the sacraments, towards Christ. So just remember, he's not there waiting with this list of things that you've done wrong. He's waiting there with open arms, waiting to welcome you home. Hello everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I apologize, it is so hot here today. It is 103 degrees and it's 98% humidity. If I start sweating, I'm too pregnant for this, first of all. Second of all, it's way too hot for me to do literally anything besides sit down, drink water, or a cute little drink. But I'm here filming today because baby's due in, I don't actually know how long when this video comes out, but basically soon, and therefore I do need to hustle and get videos out. So that's what I'm doing, even though I'm literally sweating so much. But anyways, hi, if you're new here, I'm Amber Rose. I'm so glad that you guys found this video because I do find this topic to be very interesting and one that I have struggled with for the last 7 years since my reversion. If you guys want to learn more about what I've learned over the course of those 7 years since my reversion, you guys can get a video on that from my Patreon. Not only does it help support the channel, but it also helps support my growing family and everything, and I couldn't do this without you, so thank you so much. You guys get some exclusive content, and there's stuff on there that I would not say publicly. So whatever incentive you need, because ads are crazy these days and you want ad-free content or whatever, check out my Patreon. I've linked it below. But today's topic is something that I have gotten a lot of DMs over, emails, I've talked about it with a lot of friends over coffee, I've cried about it in adoration, and that is, how do you stay Catholic? And I'm not talking just nominally Catholic, you know, oh, I'll go to Mass on Easter and Christmas or when I feel like it, but genuinely active, on fire for the faith, wanting to be an active participant in the faith type of Catholic. Specifically when the world makes it really, really hard. So that's what we are going to discuss today, and before we get into it, I want to thank our sponsor today, SacredSpark. A little bit more about them later in the video. So the first thing I want to say is that staying Catholic is hard, and I really do think we do each other a disservice when we pretend that it isn't hard. I mean, the culture that we live in today is anything but neutral towards the faith. I mean, I know there's a comeback and there's this resurgence of Christians, which is wonderful, but there is a lot of things that pull us away from God in the everyday life, and it can be very, very disheartening and very, very difficult to stay Catholic when things get hard, maybe when you don't have a support system, when you've been hurt by people in the church. And honestly, Satan is constantly trying to tug us in the opposite direction and trying to get us away from the church, away from God, get us out of friendship with God. And so it's our duty to really be aware of that and make sure that we're doing what we need and what is necessary to our state in life to stay Catholic and protect our faith. Whether or not you've been hurt by someone in the church or you had questions that were never answered, like me, that was a huge issue that I had growing up, is there were a lot of questions that I had about the faith that just I never got answered. Now, did I actually listen if somebody answered them? Don't know. I was one of those kids, so I don't know. But in general, maybe you are just a Catholic who's really, really tired. I also feel that. I see you. That is 100% real. I was there for the last two years, I think. So I 100% get it. And I 100% see you, but something tells me that because you clicked on this video, that there's still a flame in you. There is still some sort of want, some sort of need to stay Catholic. It might feel like a tiny flicker right now, but it is there. And we are going to talk about how to protect it and how to grow it. Okay, the number one thing we need to do to protect our faith is to know why we believe what we believe. You cannot defend something or love something that you do not understand or that you do not know. And more than just defending it to other people, you have to know it for yourself, because I will be honest with you guys, doubt will come, questions will come, hard conversations will come. And if your entire faith is just built on feelings or being like, oh yeah, you know, this is just what my parents did with me growing up and it's just kind of what I do now, it's not gonna survive. I want to be really clear here that the Catholic faith is not a blind faith. There is over 2,000 years of history and church teaching, and we have word of mouth, and we have the Bible, and we have the councils. We have some of the greatest minds in human history, like St. Thomas Aquinas and St. Augustine. We also have, who else do we have? We have Chesterton, and we have Edith Stein, and we have so many different beautiful minds who have gone through the church, who have looked at the hard questions. They've looked at all these struggles that we've gone through and they've addressed them. Basically, they've gone in with these same exact questions that you probably have, and they came out convinced. And I think that should really give you some confidence. So read. Please, please read. I did a whole video of things that I think all Catholics should own, and one of those was the Catechism of the Catholic Church. Please read the Catechism. You don't have to read it cover to cover. It's not meant to be like that. Think of it more like a dictionary or an encyclopedia, where when you have a question that arises, you go into the index and you figure out where that question is, and then you read about it. Now, you can get the free version on the Vatican's website. 100% that works. I have used that, although it kind of hurts my face a little bit because it hasn't been updated in forever. I think they also scanned a PDF version of the book too. I'll try to link that one below instead because that one's not as horrible. But at the same time, it is harder to look things up with that version. I'll just link both. But I also highly suggest just getting a book of the Catechism of the Catholic Church. They're not that expensive, right off Amazon, although I don't love supporting Amazon. If you have a local Catholic store, definitely support them instead. But that is the #1 book you should have and that you should be reading. The other 2 resources that I highly suggest, obviously Catholic Answers. They have so many great resources. If you have any question on the Catholic faith, all you have to do is type your question into Google, put Catholic Answers at the end, and I guarantee you they have a radio show where they answer the question, they have a blog post where they answer the question. They just have so much information on their website and their YouTube channel and their Instagram, so definitely follow them, check them out. They've also written a couple books, like the Essential Catholic Survival Guide. I love that book, and I think they also wrote Meeting the Protestant Challenge. Those 2 books have helped me tremendously in learning about my faith, especially in the beginning, so highly suggest those. Also watching Bishop Barron's Word on Fire on YouTube, I think that's a great resource as well. Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis is also fantastic. Technically, he's not Catholic, okay, but he is so close, and I genuinely do believe he would have been Catholic if he was just given a little more time. But it really will set your foundational reasoning on fire, and it will definitely make you think a lot more about your faith. And then there's another book that I really, really liked, and it's called... Hang on, let me Google it. It's called Theology and Sanity by Frank Sheed. Now, he's a lay Catholic theologian, but his book is phenomenal on this. He spent years and years defending the faith in the public square, so I highly suggest you read him and then you come back and tell me how you liked his book. To be clear, when I'm giving you guys these resources, you don't need to know everything. You don't have to have every answer figured out. You don't have to have every question under the sun answered or anything like that. But you should be actively seeking the answers to the questions you have about the faith within the church. People kind of act like the Catholic Church is afraid of questions. It's not afraid of questions. It can handle your questions. It's survived 2,000 years. It's survived a lot of different things. Your questions are not going to shake the faith. Really quick, I want to tell you guys about the sponsor of today's video, SacredSpark. Okay, real talk for 1 second, because online dating and dating in general is honestly just really, really difficult. And trust me, I have heard some crazy horror stories from my friends. But that is why I was so excited when I heard about SacredSpark. Mainly because it's just different in a way that I was not expecting. It was created by Emily Wilson and her husband Daniel. I love that this app leads with who you actually are, not just with superficial selfies or anything like that. There are voice intros, video prompts, formation resources, and this really cool feature actually where your friends and family can act as your matchmaker right inside the app. It's really intentional, and that is what I love so much about this app. It's free to download on the App Store, so definitely go check it out. I have linked it below, or I've linked it in one of these corners. You deserve to date with intention and find other people who are dating with intention as well. Not to mention there have already been engagements on this app, and this app is like pretty new. So a huge thanks to SacredSpark for sponsoring this video. Now let's get back into it. The second thing you should be doing to stay Catholic is receive the sacraments regularly. Sacraments are an efficacious sign of grace, so they are instituted by Christ and entrusted by the Church, and you can find that in the Catechism of the Catholic Church if you read it. But the sacraments are a way that God can give us graces and be able to connect with us and basically give us an insight to the divine through these means of the sacraments that he's given us. Christ is at work in each and every sacrament, and each and every sacrament is important. And it's specifically receiving the Eucharist and going to confession. Those are the 2 most important things. The Eucharist is the source and summit of Christian life. It's the whole reason that we're Catholic. If we didn't have the Eucharist, there would be no reason to be Catholic. And I really do think that the Council of Trent defined it best. They said, in the Eucharist, the body and blood together with the soul and divinity of our Lord Jesus Christ, and therefore the whole Christ, is truly, really, and substantially contained. To be honest, the Eucharist is really the most intimate thing that you can have with Christ. That is as intimate as you can get with God. So go to Mass, and not just because you have to, go because you need it. You need Christ. Even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it actually. Just remember that feelings are not the measure of whether or not something is working. When you choose God, even when you don't feel like it, He sees that that is efficacious. He can give you grace through that. And you can literally say during Mass, like, Lord, I really didn't want to be here today, but I'm here for you because I love you and I need you. Be honest with Him. Be open with Him. He loves that. Oh, and of course, confession. I was about to skip over confession. Oh my goodness. If you have not been to confession in a while, I say this with so much love. Please go. I have so many videos on confession. I will link those below in the description for you guys so you guys know how to do a confession, make a good confession, all the steps and everything. But there are so many graces and there are so many benefits of going to confession, like being reunited with God, being in relationship with Him again, being in a state of grace. And I think the most important one is just this increased strength in spiritual battle as a Christian, because we are constantly, most of our battles are fought spiritually, whether or not we recognize that. And we need the sacraments, we need the grace from the sacraments in order to basically feed our souls so our souls can be strong enough to fight these spiritual battles. You walk into confession carrying something heavy, something that's been weighing on you forever. It's guilt, it's shame, it's whatever, but you walk out completely free and light and forgiven and in relationship with God again. And that is the mercy of God operating through His church. So go regularly, go every 2 weeks if you're not scrupulous. If you're scrupulous, oh my gosh, you guys, don't even get me started. Plug your ears, do the la 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 la, okay? Do whatever your confessor says you should be doing, and if you're scrupulous and you don't have a confessor, you should have a confessor. This advice is not for you if you are scrupulous. If you're scrupulous, you should probably be going to confession every month, unless you know, without a shadow of a doubt, that you have committed a mortal sin. Okay, the third thing to help you stay Catholic is to build a Catholic community. You will become the most like the people that you surround yourself with. Did that make sense? We are social creatures, okay? So the more time we spend around specific people, the more we start to act like them. You know that if you have a best friend, you know that if you have a boyfriend or a husband, you guys just start kind of acting like each other because you're around each other so much. That's just a fact. That's just how we work. So if almost everyone in your immediate circle thinks your faith is weird, or they're not Christian, or they claim to be Christian but they're nominal, or whatever, I don't know, there's so many different examples I could give. I'm speaking from experience here. You will find it very difficult to stay Catholic if you are constantly surrounded by those types of people. So you just need to find your people, really. If you're in high school, see if there's a youth group at a church near you. See if your parents will take you if you can't drive yet. Honestly, even one friend is better than no friends. And if you're in college, I highly suggest you guys look up Newman Centers. There's also focus groups that are on a lot of college campuses that I also highly suggest. You'll find some great Catholics there. And if you're an adult like my husband and I, and you're kind of like in limbo because you haven't technically had any children yet, I mean, we're pregnant, but you know, but we're also pretty young, and you just kind of like bounce around between groups, but you never really fit in anywhere. You know what? Just try a Bible study at your local parish. Just ask if your parish needs any help with anything. Volunteer at a soup kitchen. Honestly, even pro-life groups are amazing. They are great ways that you can get into the community there and that you can also meet like-minded Catholics. While not all people at pro-life events and stuff are Catholic, you can find some really great Christ-centered people there. And honestly, in the meantime, let's say you're stuck, you're in limbo like we are kind of, and you just don't really have community, you can't find community, even though you're trying. Honestly, podcasts count right now. Watching this video counts. Books count. Now, it can't replace in-person community. I love my community here. You guys are amazing. But it cannot replace in-person community. You are not meant to do this alone, so keep trying. Okay, the fourth thing you need to do to stay Catholic is to develop a real prayer life. I'm not talking about prayers that you just pray because you're panicking, because something happened, or you need something. I'm talking intentional prayer with God, intentional conversation with Him. Basically, what I mean is prayer is a relationship, right? It's two-sided. You talk to God, God talks to you in silence in your heart, and we have to be open to Him. Something that I love is this quote from St. Teresa of Avila, and she says, "Contemplative prayer is nothing else than a close sharing between friends. It means taking time frequently to be alone with Him who we know loves us." That definition, that applies to all authentic prayer, all prayer that comes from the heart. Whether that's prayer journaling, meditation, praying out loud, praying in your head, whatever it might be, that counts. It's not meant to be a performance. It's not meant to be a scripted type of thing where you're just, reading off a pamphlet or something like that. I mean, those prayers aren't bad. Okay, they're good. They're a great formula for when you don't know what else to say, but you should also be talking to God from your heart. And so, just like any relationship, you need to show up even when you don't feel like it, even when your heart's not in it, even when you don't exactly feel like you're going to get anything out of it. That is when we need to show up. And even a 30-second prayer counts. It counts, guys. When you do it from the heart, it counts. Some prayer is better than none at all. So make time for God. Make time for your prayer life. If you can't do a full rosary, just do a decade. If you don't feel called to the rosary, do a Divine Mercy chaplet. But also just spending time before the Blessed Sacrament. If you need to bring a book, or if you need to prayer journal, or just sitting there in silence and letting him look at you, you look at him, and just being open, not talking at him, just being like, Lord, what do you want me to receive in this moment right now? And you know what? At the end of the day, go back to the basics. Morning offering and a short examination of conscience at night. If you want to throw a little spice in there, you can do the Liturgy of the Hours. I love the Liturgy of the Hours. I don't pray it as consistently as I should, but it's also just great. But the whole point is that prayer is a relationship. It's a conversation with God. And it's just something that we should all be participating in, no matter what area of life we're in right now, where you have 30 seconds or you have 2 hours to pray. Get on some sort of routine, and you know what? Just put God first. Okay, number 5 is to start taking your suffering seriously. Today's world will tell us that any type of suffering is bad. You should not suffer, you shouldn't be in pain, you shouldn't feel bad, you shouldn't have any of these negative emotions, period. But the Catholic Church sees suffering differently, especially because through Christ's passion on the cross, he has given suffering a new meaning. He has redeemed suffering. And because of that, we can be united to Christ through any form of suffering that we're going through. Now, we don't glorify pain for its own sake or whatever that might be. We pray for healing. We use medicine when we need to. We don't suffer needlessly. And we don't seek out, suffering gratuitously. I guess basically what I'm trying to say is, as Catholics, we don't love suffering itself, but we love God so much that we accept the suffering out of charity. And we basically just unite it to Christ's love on the cross. So when things just completely fall apart, you don't get the grade you wanted, relationships fall through, parents die, you lose your job, there's a health scare, whatever it might be, don't run from the church in moments like that. We should be running towards the church, towards the sacraments, towards Christ. Because to be honest, the church has walked with people of all different backgrounds who have experienced all different types of sufferings for over 2,000 years. The church knows what to do because the church is the bride of Christ. Okay, and our last one, which is number 6, which is kind of a bonus because I was really only going to do 5, but this one's a little personal for me, so I'm just going to throw it in there. And basically that is, stop waiting to feel ready or worthy. I wasted years of my life waiting to be holy enough. I just felt like I had to get myself together before I could approach or even show up in my faith. I don't know if that really makes any sense. But if you are in the same boat as I was, I didn't have anyone to tell me this. That is not how grace works. If you have fallen away from your faith or you've been lukewarm, you want to come back, you want to be stronger, you need to understand that the church is not a place for perfect people. It's a hospital for the sick. And in order to come back, you don't need to be perfect. You don't have to have all your T's dotted. T's dotted? That's not right. You know what I mean. You don't need to be perfect. God has already taken into account your stupidity. He knows your heart. He knows that you want to return to him, and he wants you to return to him too, but he's not going to force you to. You have to make that decision to go to confession. You have to make that decision to be sorry for your sins, and I did a whole video about how to be sorry for your sins. Also linking that below for you guys, just because I think that's a really, really important topic and not enough people are talking about it. But we need to remember that God's mercy far outweighs his wrath and his justice. So if you've been away, if you've made choices you're not proud of, if you feel like an imposter, you have imposter syndrome, you feel like a fraud, please just come back anyways. The story of the prodigal son in Luke chapter 15 is there for a reason. Father runs towards the son while the son is still clearly very far off and ashamed of what he's done. But that is who God is. He is running to meet you where you are. And he's not going to force you to love him back, but he is going to meet you where you are. And if you take his hand and you accept his forgiveness and you accept his mercy, he doesn't hate you. He doesn't want you to suffer. He doesn't want you to go through anything horrible. He wants to help you through those things. So just remember, he's not there waiting with this list of things that you've done wrong. He's waiting there with open arms, waiting to welcome you home. But on a practical note here, just because I do know that I have some baby Catholics or some people who are discerning the faith in my viewer realm, I don't know, my viewers. Hi, everybody. If you are a fully initiated Catholic, so you have baptism, you have First Holy Communion, you have confirmation, all you need to do to come back into the church is go to the Sacrament of Reconciliation, so confession. Again, linking the videos below. However, if you are not a Catholic, so you haven't been baptized, or you haven't had confirmation, or you haven't had First Communion or anything like that, talk to your local parish, because you'll have to go through something called RCIA, which is just Rite of Christian Initiation for Adults. Sometimes it's called OCIA now. I don't know what that stands for, but it's basically the same thing. And it's just a way for them to educate you on the faith and to have you grow deeper in the faith. So don't let anybody overcomplicate your return to the faith or you coming into the faith, especially when God's the one that's calling you home. And he is calling all of us home all the time because, you know, even the most obedient sheep sometimes stray. So anyways, I guess what I'm gonna just wrap up with here is staying Catholic is an active decision. You have to actively make the decision to stay Catholic every single day. You know, it's choosing to be formed by truth. It's choosing to go to Mass even when you don't feel like it. It's choosing to have a prayer routine even when prayer feels dry. It's opening the catechism when you have questions instead of Googling other forums online or listening to your favorite influencer. It's about building a prayer life, about building community, about uniting your suffering on the cross with Christ's. And whenever you drift or you feel yourself drifting, to come back and start again. It does not matter how many times you fall, God will always welcome you back with open arms. And you know what? At the end of the day, it's worth it. Not because it's gonna make your life more easy, not because it's gonna make your life more comfortable, because to be honest, it probably won't. It's worth it because it's true. And because the life that God is calling you to live, the life of love, of sacrifice, of joy, of sacraments, it's the most fulfilling life a human being could ever live. So if this video helped you guys, share it with somebody who you think it might help as well. Don't forget to leave a comment and tell me where you are in your faith journey, because we're all in this together at the end of the day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out Sacred Spark linked below. Toodles!